There's one thing that holds you back when you're trying to improve on your mountain bike, but it might not be immediately obvious to you. It's fun to ride and try new things on the bike, but today we're gonna learn something that unlocks all of your progression on two wheels. Not only are we gonna focus on this, but I'm gonna teach you the drills you need to do in order to break through the barrier that's been holding you back. My name is Aaron, welcome to Super Rider. On this channel, we break down complex bike skills into easy to learn techniques that you can quickly apply to your riding. You've undoubtedly seen more than a few Instagram clips or YouTube videos of riders who are doing unreal stuff on two wheels, riding up and over obstacles and on difficult terrain. It looks like magic because they have this insane control over two wheels, doing things that you might think are well beyond your capabilities. So what is it that gives those riders the superpower of bike control? It's an understanding of their maximum balance points and their ability to be comfortable in those points. Your bike has three main points of balance: the front wheel balance point, your bottom bracket, and your back wheel balance point. One of the main pieces of advice that I give to riders is to film themselves riding, because in most cases, you're not moving around on the bike enough to get the bike to do what you want. When you look at a video clip of yourself, you're not likely moving enough around those balance points, and as a result, your bike isn't moving either. So our first step today is going to be identifying the balance points, and then we can start getting comfortable from there. I'm not going to push you to reach your maximum balance point on either of your front or back wheel today, but when you see what we're going to practice, it'll be obvious how to get there. Let's start with the least obvious balance point on the bike, the bottom bracket. This is essentially the center point of the bike. So when your body weight is in front of the bottom bracket, your back wheel is easier to lift and move around. When your body weight is behind the bottom bracket, your front wheel becomes light and easy to lift and move around. Think of this point right here as the middle of the seesaw. Wherever you are in relation to this point will have a huge impact on the bike. If you only focus on one thing from this video, this is it. Everything else flows from this one single point. We'll come back to the bottom bracket in just a bit, but for now, let's focus in on the front wheel balance point. When you focus in on this point, you can lift the back wheel up off the ground much easier, which is handy during techniques like the pivot. I find that I'm more comfortable riding down steeper terrain as I get connected with this balance point as well. Now, before we go into the actual drills and practice for the balance points, I want to stop and highly recommend that you use flat pedals when you're practicing. When we work on balance specifically, it's helpful to be able to step off the bike. Plus, with flat pedals, you can twist your feet side to side for extra balance, which definitely isn't possible when you're clipped in. I use Deity T-Mac pedals, but whatever you've got will work just fine. The easiest way to build your confidence with the front wheel balance point is to practice a movement called the endo. You can start really small with this technique and work your way up over time. What you'll do is roll along slowly and grab your front brake. When you do that, the momentum will pull your body weight forward over the front wheel. Depending on how fast you're going or how quickly you grab the front brake will make the biggest impact of how steep you go with this movement. Just start super small and slow with this one if you've never done it before. It can be slightly disorienting to have your weight pitch forward like this, but the whole point here is to get some repetition. That way you get more comfortable over time. Let's move on to the back wheel balance point. This one is absolutely vital for pedaling up obstacles, bunny hops, wheelies, and a bunch of stuff in between. We can start to check out this back wheel balance point by building on that first endo movement. So first, you'll rock your body forward for the endo, and then as your back wheel comes back down, you can shift your weight back to lift up the front wheel. Do a quick check here to see where your body is relative to that bottom bracket. See how shifting behind the bottom bracket has actually made the front wheel light and lifted it off the ground? You don't need to lift your front wheel way off the ground to start getting a feel for the back wheel balance point. Just start small and get comfortable rocking back a little bit. As you progress here, you can push into new territory over that balance point and build confidence with your front wheel higher in the air. This ultimately strengthens your position on the bike and allows you to ride up higher obstacles, which comes in handy with some of the other skills that I teach on this channel. So let's spend a little extra time practicing this first drill a bit more. We're doing something called rocking, which is a quick endo followed by a front wheel lift. Try to link together a few back and forth movements to start and keep it relatively small. The bigger you go with the movement, the harder it will become to maintain your balance, so save that until after you get the basics locked in. What you can also do from here is a side-to-side rock. Pick a direction and slowly rock back and forth with tiny movements on your front and back wheel. This is sometimes called a rock walk, and if you can do this in both directions, you're not only building your balance skills on the front and back wheels, you're also picking up the basics for the pivot technique. This is all important stuff for when you're building basic control on the bike. The other way to practice these skills is to do them at a slow roll. Roll at a walking pace and lift your front wheel by pushing your weight to the back of the bike. Or lift your back wheel off the ground by pushing your weight forward and adding a slight scoop of the pedals to lift it off the ground. Isn't it funny that you can build so much bike control in such a small space? You can practice this anytime you want and riff on it a little bit. If you want to focus in on steeper endos, you can start to push your comfort level with that front wheel balance point. Same thing with the back wheel. And what I think you're going to find out is that you can push a lot farther than you originally thought. That's the thing that holds most riders back. Their comfort zone and the balance point are located pretty far apart. Our goal with today's practice is to bring our comfort zone closer to the actual balance points on the front and back wheels. And with some practice, you'll get there before you know it. If you want to see what you can do with an expanded range of balance points, check out this video right here about riding up and onto ledges.